review the Nike Pegasus Plus. Let's go. First of all, let's talk about the likes. The first and foremost point has to be the heritage of the shoe. So if you're familiar with the original Pegasus Turbo lines, there's the first release in 2018 and then the Turbo 2 in 2019. And I happened to ran in the 2019 version and actually ran my fastest 10K at the time in those shoes. But since then, they've discontinued the shoe. They released a nature version of the Pegasus Turbo, but it's not quite the same thing because they use the recycle foam. So I'm very happy that they actually brought this line back. And as you can see, there's the signature bowling stripe pattern from the 2018 version. So in terms of the look, I love it. And the second one is performance. I put a lot of easy mile on these shoes, but I'll also use them for long runs as well as a couple of the workouts. And I find them to be very performant. So in one of my last workouts, I ran some half marathon paces and 10K paces in mile repeats and 800 repeats. And I was a little skeptical for first because this foam is pretty dense for ZoomX. I didn't know if it would be as performant as compared to like the race day shoes, but I was able to hit the paces just fine. And the last one is longevity. This shoe rides a lot like the Invincible 3. And if you have a pair of those, I've put about 500 miles on them and the foam still perform pretty well at a high mileage. And I would pretty much expect the same from this shoe. And as you can see, I have about 50 miles on these shoes right now. There's very minimal wear and tear on the outsole, on the treads. But as far as the foam goes, there's no deterioration whatsoever. So I do expect this shoe to go well over 300 and 400 mile mark. So let's talk about some of the things that can be improved on. And first of all is the fit. And primarily I'm talking about the upper here. So even though that this version, it is using the Flyknit and it is pretty stretchy, I do find the toe box should be a little constricting. And as you can see here, this toe box is pretty pointy. And so what happens is when I use it for long runs, anything over like around the hour and a half mark, I do find some hot spots on the side of my feet, and I have narrow feet already. So most of the time I don't have issues with the different fitting of the shoes. So this is a little bit concerning, but the shoe is designed for a fast day. So maybe if you're just using it for workouts around the 1 hour mark, it will be okay. But with that, if you have toenail problems or if you have wide feet, I don't think these are the best option for you. And the second one is the ride. It's a little bit confusing because it's almost like Pegasus and Invincible had a baby because it shapes like a Pegasus, but it rides like an Invincible. So at first it was a little confusing to me because even though it's a speed day workout shoe, the foam feels really dense and not that nimble, but I was still able to hit the paces. So I'm a little bit confused because I still race and Alpha Flies and Vapor Flies. I don't find these to be that similar ride feel of those shoes. I'm just not quite sure where this fits in my current shoe rotation line. So who is this shoe for? I think there's two criteria here. First of all, if you're a beginner runner looking to run your first 5K, 10K, maybe half marathon, definitely maybe marathon, I think that if you only want to buy one pair of shoes, I think these will be your best option because these are retail for $180. It's well under that $250-ish price point for a premium race day shoe. And with these guys, I think they can absorb a lot of miles, a lot more miles than the premium race day shoes, as well as, running your race in these as well. So I think that for that price point, it's a pretty valuable shoe for you. And the second one is if you primarily wear Nikes already, you race in the Alpha Flies or the Vapor Flies, I do think that these will be a good training companion for them, even though the ride feel is a little bit different. But my point is, it does not have a plate in here. It does not have a carbon fiber plate in here. So it'll be gentler to your feet as well as your ankle. So I do think that you can put a lot of fast miles in these without wrecking your feet, preparing yourself for race day. Overall, I'm very impressed with this release and I'm looking forward to put more miles on them.